Good afternoon, everyone. I am Angel from Lima, Peru. You know very well how much I love nonfiction. I'm a history buff, especially when it comes to the history of our country. So I have read a number of books of the Incas and the conquest of the Inca Empire. In fact, the first review of this channel is about a historical novel. This time, allow me to introduce you to The Inca's Spy, tremendous novel published electronically in 2012 thanks to La Mula Publicaciones in Peru and in its printed format by Lluvia Editores 2 years ago. This is a beautiful reprint from July last year, written by Peruvian author Rafael Dumett. He was born in Lima, he studied at the Pontifical Catholic University of Peru, and he studied drama at the theater of the same university. He also studied at the Sorbonne in Paris. With 782 pages, this work is virtually the transcription of a giant quipu, or recording device consisting of strings and knots, with 16 chapters which are not called chapters but series of ropes, each one in a different color and knots, and past-present sequence broken in the end. I mean, this way of structuring the book is enough to notice some impressive extent of creativity. To get this, the author has been inspired by a real quipu found in Aucará, province of Lucanas, Ayacucho, in southern Peru in 2008, next to the mummy of a man of the Chanca nation who lived in the 16th century. This, and his vast knowledge of Inca culture and works on the conquest, has enabled Mr. Dumett take the guiding thread of the novel throughout the adventures of Yumpacha, the main character, who, despite being a mere runa or commoner in Apcara, belonging to the Chanca nation, subjugated to the Incas, ended up as Atahualpa's spy during his captivity in Cajamarca so as to free him. Previously, civil war is mentioned, as well as Emperor Huáscar's defects, crimes and errors, and various generals joining Atahualpa's side, the opposing one. Atahualpa did certainly have his own reasons, really convincing, by the way, to rescue the empire from Huáscar. Kusiyupanqui, Yumpacha's Yanantin, or complement of difference, entrusts the following to him. Being ordered by Chimpushankutu, he has to find out about the Spaniards, infiltrate into Atahualpa's court to Achipso, be a spy in waist pica disguise to avoid raising suspicion. Among other things, he has to find out whether they are gods, if they eat gold or use it to cure themselves. He also has to tell Atahualpa that Cusi is organizing his rescue. The pica convinces Felipillo, the interpreter, to give him information on the conquistadors, the value of gold according to them, their internal conflict, etc. He also tells Atahualpa the plan has not only been set but ironed out and refined to be rescued by Cusi Yupanqui and Yucrahualpa, this is on page 604, and murder all the Spaniards cruelly, page 611, though, well, you will need to read the adventures, ins and outs at the very end. I particularly like the sequence of names and or identities the main character adopted throughout the novel. For example, the first, Jumpacha, a Chanka boy who, in a magical experience, acquires the amazing capacity to count big numbers, ciphers, at a glance, thus being taken to Vilcashuaman, the Yacta, or city of the sacred falcon. Second, Kanchis, a Sayana, or servant, an accountant of Usco Huaraca, the local lord or curaca, and friend of his son, Oscolio Huaraca, whose identity he adopts once Oscolio is murdered. Oscolio Huaraca, the third identity, having taken the identity of the real one to be educated and trained at the Yachayhuasi, or House of Learning, which already accepted sons of provincial elites. The fourth identity is Salango. He had to civilize the conquered nations on the northern tip of the empire, Chinchaysuyo, an educated savage people with nothing to give as tribute. As a spy, he is simply known as the Picker. It could be the next identity. I suppose that pretending to be a servant, his name was neither necessary nor relevant. Pedro Ancuayu, an elderly man accused by Guamán Poma de Ayala, the famous chronicler, who served Cristobal de Albornoz in his extirpation of idolatry's campaign. There are many interesting aspects of this novel. I was attracted by the use of terms in native languages, especially Quechua, included here, and a glossary. This makes the novel more realistic, in my view, and links with an indigenous point of view, such as these examples. Page 65. Christians who worship an unborn God, who cannot give them anything in return. You know that redistribution is a key concept in the Andes. Page 140. Like bitches in heat, the Atlas, or chosen women, get happy when the Inca offers them to the Spaniards. So that's a kind of criticism to native women who were not always victims of rape. Page 157, the old bearded man, or Francisco Pizarro. Page 157, the amiable bearded man, or Hernando de Soto. 249, there's no point in rebelling against them. 532, gigantic llamas. 536, metal blowguns or arquebus, huge glass that spits fire and destruction, or cannon. One of the better achieved aspects of this novel is the use of 16th century Spanish language. Somebody correct me if I'm mistaken, but I don't know of any contemporary author writing whole chapters in this style, including a glossary as well. It has been helped by works such as the Comedy of Calisto and Melibea, Amadis de Gaula, and Chronicle of Peru. Obviously, another central aspect is the variety of characters, most of them real. With some literary licenses or not, the dialogue, situations, complexes, decisions, and musings makes us notice among both the good and the bad, sorry for being Manichaean, their human self. Felipillo, feeling jealous of Martinillo's talent as an interpreter, feeling inferior when he was with the beautiful Intipalla. Chimpushankutu, the prolific trick planner, who honors this nickname. Kusiyupangi, the bloodthirsty general who had lost the love of Chuquihuipa, defeated by Huáscar. I saw him as a monster, but this novel has shown me a man of flesh and bone. The other generals like Rumiñahui, Quisquis, or Chalcochima are portrayed in a deep human dimension. Similarly, neither Atahualpa was totally evil, nor Huáscar was totally virtuous. Both brothers had and did not have justified reasons to act as they did. And women, so many times ignored in this cruel episode of our history, as are by Curioclio, Intipalla, Quispecisa, Cusirimay Oclio, Chuquihuipa, they also had dreams, ambitions, and a tragic fate. I loved the metaphorical language. Page 19. To complete rides by the one who lights it all. It means 2 days and the sun. Page 23. The world of 4 directions. It means Inca Empire. Also, a typical language we Peruvians use is mentioned. Notice the word Uda here. Page 62. Just by seeing the gentleman I have learned, sir. Page 63. Stupid he is. His place he doesn't know. Respect he doesn't know. So order, inversion, verb subject. Already I'm fine already, page 206. The word ya or already at the beginning and end of the sentence. That's typically and uniquely Peruvian. The author has used Spanish words to refer to Quechua terms as well. The language of people, or Runasimi, which means Quechua, the Lord of the beginning, or Tixticapac, which means Atahualpa, the naval city, or Cusco, which means Cusco. If I'm not mistaken, I have noticed 2 examples of anachronism. Taita instead of Yaya to mean father, Taita comes from Latin. Chicha instead of Aja to mean corn beer. The Spaniards brought this term from other areas of the continent, I think the Caribbean. And deep thoughts. For example, page 311. Those who commit misdeeds and think that they have not been discovered end up believing themselves unpunished and giving themselves away. Page 327. One should never underestimate the desire of the person who hatches treasons to expose himself. One should never underestimate the desire to see their treason recognized, the traitor's hidden hope of being discovered, punished. Page 421. Let those who see you wear your suit, your name, not think that it is too beautiful, too big for you. Page 438. Why do cowards like to display bravery when protected by a powerful man? We are therefore, and without any intention of flattery, dealing with a novel of novels. A total novel, since every perspective that accused me of the Inca civilization and the conquest is here. Architecture, commerce, interethnic prejudices, epidemics, poisons, kingship, corruption, rituals, both religious and courtship, expeditions, torture, manipulation of history, and duality, sex, food, rebellions, quipus, betrayals, defecting to the enemy, the beginning of private property, looting, rape, punishment, textiles, multilingualism, discrimination from royal Incas to privileged Incas and local curacas, accounting and along, etc. In other words, I can read this novel and in a coherent and not forced way, I can learn a lot about this civilization. There is even a transcript of a quipu telling stories, not accounting, about Tupac Yupanqui's expedition, pages 627 to 637. This is obviously a literary license, but it is totally realistic. The score, 5 out of 5, definitely. Mr. Dumett has brought historical narrative to other standards. See you.